All right, next up, and now we're solely into the A grades, even though we're at number 20 as we count our way down to number 1. The Indianapolis Colts, Tyler Warren, layup at pick 14. JT Tuimoloau, layup at pick 45. I mean, they just checking boxes and getting better. Pick 80, Justin Wally, the cornerback out of Minnesota. A slot guy, maybe that's a little rich for some people. I'm fine with it. Jalen Travis in the 4th round, the tackle at Iowa State. I thought we weren't talking enough about that young man in terms of his developmental capabilities at the next level. And finally, the last name I'll mention here as we work our way through this class, in the 6th round, pick 189, they took Riley Leonard, who someone said, Rand, I think this is a perfect encapsulation of Riley Leonard. He's equal parts Anthony Richardson and what's his name? Daniel Jones, excuse me, the quarterback class. So they got 2 for 1 in terms of Riley Leonard in that QB room.
Here's what I'll say about Chris Ballard's class. I thought it was really cool that because we had heard he was trying to trade up potentially to get Tyler Warren or a tight end, and he was able to stand pat and get one. And then obviously JTT, like you said, they just check boxes and fill their needs. And this is going to be a well-rounded team. They just got to get the quarterback position right.
Right. And it could be a situation where they could be in the market for a quarterback. We talk about this quarterback class in 2026, and we'll have plenty of time to address that. But perhaps that's something we think about when we do this Thursday mock draft, looking ahead to the future. But for now, this is a fantastic draft class. Chris Ballard has to feel great about where they are. Nick Caserio took that advice to heart, the former Patriots front office guy, because Houston is my next team to talk about here at number 13, also in a draft. Jaden Higgins, 6'4", wide receiver. He'll be lining up opposite Nico Collins, over 6'1", maybe 6'2", wide receiver out of Michigan, and we know what he did as he grew into that role in Houston. And then they got the slot guy. They got Jaden Higgins' teammate, Jalen Noel, the wide receiver, has some return ability. And then Jalen Smith, they just drafted all the Jalen's, cornerback out of USC, undersized slot guy, but he's a really good player. They did trade up for Woody Marks, the running back out of USC. I actually love Woody Marks. I don't know if the price was prohibitive for most folks, but clearly Houston felt good about it. And they also drafted Graham Mertz. I'll mention him there as a developmental quarterback in round 6. What do you think about this class, Rand?
I felt the same way you did. I think both of the Iowa State guys, they need to pay a commission to Hutchinson, who's already there, a former Iowa State guy. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they were so pleased with him in terms of what he brings to the table that they were like, let's go get 2 more to give him another weapon. But there's clearly a commitment to making sure that C.J. Stroud is successful. And that was one of their offseason plans, was to better protect him. I think he was the 2nd most sacked quarterback last season, right? And then now you go get him some weapons, some bigger targets. And so I like this draft for Caserio and D'Amico Ryans.
We are down to number 6. That brings us to Duval County. I'll let you do the Liam Cohen Duval if you want to, Rand.
Duval.
You crushed that one, Sharon. So, hey, man, no one's going to care about that.
I couldn't make my eyebrows roll like he made his, but.
You know what, though? No one's going to care about it if this draft class hits like we think it has a chance to hit. And I gave this an A, and they're right on the cusp of an A+. And they got Travis Hunter. They traded up to number 2 from number 5, and they gave a 1st-round pick next year to do it, and I still don't care. And I'm going to tell you what they got in terms of the draft compensation compared to their draft partner in Cleveland Browns. So the draft picks they got were Travis Hunter. They got another pick from Cleveland that turned into Bashal Tootin, the running back out of Virginia Tech, and then Ryan Lane out of Navy, who's going to be a special teams demon, and he can play safety, in the box safety. Cleveland got Mason Graham, and they used the picks they got from Jacksonville to also get Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson this year, both running backs. So you could question whether that was the best use of those picks. And then that 2026 1st-rounder. But back to Jacksonville, Wyatt Milum in round 3. He's going to be a starting guard probably from day 1. I talked about Tootin. They drafted 2 linebackers. This feels like linebacker U, but I think they're going to replace the guys they drafted previously with the other administration. And then finally, got to bring it back to my guy from Syracuse, LaQuint Allen, the 20-year-old running back. They love him there as well, and he provides some 3rd down ability as a pass catcher coming out of that backfield.
Yeah, so shout out to my man James Gladstone. JG, we worked together when he first broke into the league with the Rams in 2016. And the one thing that I respect about this draft class is that they just went for it. Where most time first time GM, first time head coaches, you're trying to make the safe, logical pick. And, he tapped into his inner Samuel Lester Snead and again went with the F those picks mantra and said, hey, I'm swinging for it out of the gate. Who knows how this thing is going to end for him, but he went for it out of the gate, and I respect that. And to go and get a player like Travis Hunter is something something we've never seen. And you essentially get a twofer, right? You get a twofer, and you get a guy that I'm pretty sure they're going to play on offense primarily, and then he'll work in some on defense. And so I respect the pick, and it was a great draft, even if you just do that. But then to get value throughout this roster. Now let's throw their last year's record out of the window, because they have a talented roster. They just need the right person there to bring it all together. And I channel back to our time at the Rams with Jeff Fisher. We had a talented roster, and you look at all the picks we accumulated, and then Sean McVay comes in and gives it that desired structure. And then in 1 year, you go from a team picking in the top 5 to a playoff team. And so hopefully this is what Liam Cohen can do for this Jacksonville roster, because there's plenty of talent down there in Jacksonville to win with.
So you work with Liam and James in L.A., and you work with this. Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't work with Liam. We just missed each other. Each other, but I did work with James.
Okay. Well, then Liam's going to have some real issues with you making fun of him saying Duval. That's a conversation for another time. All right, number 2 on our list. You may know a little something about this. Right down the road, Tennessee Titans, A+. Cam Ward almost automatically makes it an A+. There was no overthinking it there. But Femi Oladejo, the edge rusher out of UCLA, has only been playing outside for 1 year for UCLA. He went in the second round. Kevin Winston Jr. was hurt for almost the entirety of the season for Penn State, but his 2023 tape, the safety there is hot, as our buddy B-Mac likes to say. Kamari DK, wide receiver out of the slot from some university down there in Gainesville. 4.39, I think is what he ran. He's big target, plays in the slot, and they needed some speed there to help out their new quarterback. They got that in Kamari DK. They got Elikayi Minor, the wide receiver, possession receiver out of Stanford, also with a 4th-round pick. And their other 4th-round pick was Gunnar Helm, one of my favorite tight ends in this class, Rand.
Yeah, same. And that was going to be the first one I went to, was Gunnar Helm. Really liked this young man. And he was a guy that I started noticing as I was evaluating other guys on the Texas roster. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, why isn't anybody talking about him? And so I always had to make my notes at the top of the page on guys who may not have made my initial list. And so I would always circle back and watch them. And then, like I said before, we were at the Vanderbilt, Texas game, and just to see him in person and how big he is, like, it made me appreciate him even more. So I like that fit in Brian Callahan's offense. And then just going back to Cam, like, this was the right pick for them. This was the right pick from a talent perspective and a culture perspective. And I thought it was really cool for Warren Moon to meet him there and give him permission to wear number 1. So that was a really good thing to see, and a nice passing of the torch. And so, like what they did there, our man O2 out of UCLA, I could see Denard Wilson being creative and moving him around with his off-the-ball linebacker experience, because they signed Cody Barton this offseason, and the spot next to him is pretty wide open. So it'll be a competition of James Williams and Cedric Gray, and among other players that they have on that roster. And I pretty much can see O2 factoring in there, and then just being creative with him, working him off the edge some as well. So like what they did there, and it gives this team a chance to compete in the AFC South, because that division is really heating up. And now everybody in the division has a young quarterback to work with, while Indy works through their situation and figures it out.
That's right. No, and that just tells you how quickly things can change, because Anthony Richardson was a top 5 pick, and there are now conversations about how that's going to work. But yeah, and congratulations to Cam for getting number 1 from Warren Moon. Abdul Carter had no such luck from Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence said, nah, you need to go find your own number and make that number important.
Yeah, Abdul, I don't know, maybe he was celebrating a little too much before he went in that building, because we sat back and we were talking about it with Musso in the green room of what numbers he's going to wear. And then you have to be reminded, He can't wear 11 because Phil Simms wore 11, and that's retired. And then to have the audacity and the gall to ask for 56, like, all right, young fella, pipe down. It's okay, but you're not getting 56. So he's going to have to be creative with his next number, and he's going to have to sign that contract quick and break out the checkbook because he's going to have to pay somebody for one of those good numbers.